Buongiorno, buonasera, wherever you are and whatever time it is in the world right now. Thank you for tuning into the Interworldwide podcast. I'm joined by two of our favorite guests, Mario and Alessandro. Mario, how are you doing on this fine evening?
Chilling. Finally, getting back away from international break.
Yeah, this one, not a huge fan of it. Alessandro, yourself, my friend, how you doing?
Good, good. Thank you. Hi, everybody.
Oh, hello. Yeah, good to get over the international break, but to be honest, this international break, I think we can all agree Inter really needed it. We all said it more than once. We didn't want to have to come back after such a big positive performance and have it, the negativity roll in afterwards. But to be honest, it was really good to see the Italian national team, being an Azzurri fan myself, and I know my two co-panelists are as well. It was good to see the national team get into the swing of things. There's been a newfound rejuvenation of positivity, of optimism around the national team, with a fair few younger flair players coming into the equation. And Mancini, a coach that's very focused on bringing this team together and returning them to the top tier of international football. So we'll start with the first match against Finland, where Italy were able to get the 2-0 victory. And I guess that game will be remembered for two really good reasons. First of all, Nicola Barella had his best game in an Italian jersey. And, he pretty much showcased to the world. I guess the only negative to come from that is that that transfer fee is only going to go up. Alessandro, Nicola Barella, was fantastic against Finland. Do you think we should be getting this deal done sooner rather than later and just finally tying him down?
Yeah, I really hope so, even because if you look at the national team, he's one of the few player that is not in a big team. Nothing against Cagliari, but you know what I mean. And so I think it just deserves to be in an international stage at this point more constantly, like Verratti did before him.
Yeah, absolutely. Moise Kean had a really good debut. Such a good player, even though he does play for Rube. But, really good signs coming out that not only does he have the physical capabilities, he's got the right attitude as well. It's good to see him get on the score sheet. Other than that, it was good to see Italy play as a good cohesive unit. 58% possession, 11 shots on goal. 11 shots with 3 of them on goal. And altogether, just a dominated performance. Finland, obviously not the most illustrative of opponents, nothing against them, but nonetheless, you can only beat what's in front of you, which brings us to the second fixture. And, well, if Finland wasn't too much of a challenge, this one really was the closest thing to a friendly. Italia beating Liechtenstein 6-0. Mario, did you happen to catch any of that game or a little bit of that game?
I caught most of it. It was, it's a tune-up game pretty much. They scored 6 goals on a team that has, a bunch of rich boys playing that couldn't play it anywhere else. I saw some stat that in the last 18 goals it has been scored by 18 different people.
Yeah.
Something like that. So I thought that was pretty interesting. It's a good stat to see along any team really. But there was good players. It was a good showcase from players like Verratti and Moise Kean, and there was even like a questionable penalty that I thought was a bit harsh and that VAR wasn't really helpful for. Um, but I mean, it's good to just see them winning and just pounding teams that they need to pound. That's really all you can say about that game.
Yeah, because we've been used to qualifying campaigns over the years where we've had to settle for really grindy 1-0 wins, and it's been painful. And, the end product was really, really painful in 2018. Anyway, time to move on to the football that absolutely matters most. It's a big one, boys. It's a big one. It's a 6-pointer. It's Lazio, who are 6th. They're definitely back in the race for the Champions League qualification after a rocky start to the season. Simone Inzaghi, who I think is doing a fantastic job with the squad that he has really rejuvenated them. And now, after their 3-0 derby win against Roma, basically that one really solidified that Lazio are back and in contention. Alessandro, huge game. What are your thoughts going into it? And give us a little bit of team news as well.
So, first thing, Inter usually after the international break it start with a victory. So I hope they keep the trend going. Other than that, I think one of the few players that is now available for Lazio is Radu. That it doesn't sound a big name, but I think it's pretty important for them. So let's see how that is gonna play it out. Other than that, it really depends on the day that Immobile, Luis Alberto, and Milinkovic Savic are gonna have. They are not very continuous in this season. So if they have a good day or not, that's gonna make or break the game. So it's really hard to predict the final result, and especially since I don't even know who is gonna play up front for us. But um, that's another tricky question, because no matter what Spalletti is gonna decide, there's gonna be people going crazy. So I wouldn't um, I wouldn't like to be in Spalletti's shoes.
It looks like a tough one. Mario, what are your thoughts going into Lazio, man? Is it going to be a grind, or do you think we can get the job done?
I just want to start off by saying that I think it's a bit fishy that the Rai will not be playing against Lazio after he allegedly sold the game last season to get us into Champions League. Um, that being said, I think we have a fairly decent chance as long as Icardi's not on the field. Just had to get that off my chest. But I mean, it's like a mixed bag at this point because the team seems to be doing good after the international breaks, but at the same time, you don't know what kind of Inter you're going to get. You can get the Inter that possesses the ball for 70% of the game and loses, or you can get a scrappy win 1-0 against a team like Lazio. Radu missing is more important than I think people will realize, because he their captain?
I think so.
Yeah, he is. So I think
Yeah, usually.
Is it him or Lulic?
Um,
It's one of those
think
idiots.
it's Lulic.
Either way, Radu is pretty important. He's always in their starting lineup, regardless.
Yeah.
And also depends on which Milinkovic Savic you get. I think he's either going to hit a bombazo of the game of his career, which honestly isn't out of the question because everyone seems to have the game of the year against Inter, so this might just be his day, and that would be a problem. As far as our lineups, missing Lautaro is big. There was some words I was hearing that like this was all just a whole background scheme to get Icardi back in the roster, after he had a miraculous recovery. So I don't even know what to expect with the lineups and how we're gonna play at this point. It's a toss in the air for me right now. I don't know if we're gonna win, if we lose.
Yeah, look, it's still a little bit early as well.
Yeah.
We're recording a little bit early. We've still got 2.5 days until we're going to hear any real official team news anyway. So, look, I don't know who's going to play up top. It's not going to be El Toro. He's not even going to play on the bench. So, as disappointing as it is, unfortunately for you, Mario, if Icardi does start that game, he's probably going to score 2 goals, bro.
No way.
Yeah,
He's not gonna score. No way. He's gonna
Alessandro,
come.
come on, back
he's
me up
gonna
on this, Alessandro. If
he's gonna
Icardi plays,
flail
he's
his
going to
arms.
score for sure. He will score for sure.
Yeah, being Inter, that's what's gonna happen. It's gonna be Icardi's game, and then everybody's gonna say that he's fundamental for our team, and that we need him absolutely, blah blah. Or
If
the complete opposite. If he's not playing, everybody's gonna say, yeah. It's like one situation with 4 different possibilities, and all of them sucks for Spalletti, no matter what.
I think
He's gonna be the loser of this game, no matter what.
I think if he does score, we're gonna lose. 100%. If Icardi scores, we're gonna lose. If he scores two, we're gonna lose 3-2. If he scores three, we're gonna lose 5-3.
What makes
Because
you
that's
say
just how
that?
it goes. Because this is Icardi's team, and this is like Icardi FC. So if like it's gonna be playing for him, to the point where we just give Lazio the ball, and they'll eventually do something with it more than we will.
What are you guys shaky at all? Deferring from the Icardi chat, we might even go back to it. Do any of you have reservations for João Miranda? We've seen a couple of times this season when he hasn't played for 4 or 5 fixtures, he does come in and is a little bit shaky. The last time he played for us, if I'm not mistaken, was the Europa League.
I can see a play.
Yeah.
So Mario first, do you have any reservations for Miranda coming in at centre back?
I can see it. I can see him being put in there for since we're missing DeVry. I mean, it's between him and Ranocchia,
Yeah,
something like that. So I
Yeah.
see Miranda taking that.
obviously.
Ranocchia coming on as a striker
Oh, of course, depends how long is left and depends on the
save the
outlook
day.
of the match to save the day completely. Not too sure if there's any other team news. Raja Nainggolan is expected to be in the squad 100%. Whether or not he starts is a different story. Everything's really up in the bag, as Mario just said. In the moment, we don't really know what's going to happen. So stay tuned to all the headlines, and we'll bring you the news at Interworldwide whenever we can. Couple of other headlines that relate to the game. Keita Balde is confident, motivated, and ready to help out the team after being interviewed on Inter.it with Sky Sports as well. He said, "It's a team that I respect, playing against my old opposition, Lazio. However, it'll be an important match in terms of interseason, and our objective is to remain in third position." Keita Balde is pretty much got 7 games, 8 games to do something to save his Inter career, because at this stage, I don't see us redeeming him whatsoever. Alessandro, do you have any confidence left in Keita Balde? Do you think we're going to redeem him at all, or that's pretty much dead and buried for you?
I think with the fee that he had, and what he did for us, I I don't think we're gonna redeem him unless we have a big discount, or unless he starts scoring 3 goals every single game from now to the end. I don't see that happening, honestly. Um, and I really hope this time this game's gonna score, since it's the X of the game, and usually that's what happened in Serie A.
Yeah.
Even because, I mean, you can see he's attached to this team, and he keeps saying that he loves Inter and shows that. But at the end of the day, he needs to prove it on the field with assists, with goals, with good performances, and that's the only thing missing for us. So let's chatting and more scoring, please.
Yeah, Mario, your thoughts on Keita Balde? Are you a big fan? I haven't heard you speak much about Keita in the past.
I'm on the fence with him because he has the potential to fit that $30 million price tag or whatever he's worth on the transfer, but at the same time, he's too injured and he's been pretty inconsistent. He's had a couple of good runs, but then he just gets injured, and then he might have a bad game, and then he sits the next game or two, and it's too scattered. Because we've seen him play absolutely phenomenal in a couple games where he's just taken over and showed why we signed him in the first place and why we wanted him before he went to Monaco 2 years ago. But at the same time, he's looked like a bum and he's been injured.
Yeah.
Is it a real injury? Who's to say that maybe they're holding him back and maybe there's some contractual thing going on?
That's exactly what I think's going on.
Yeah, so I mean, there's a whole bunch of factors that are sort of chipping away at as to why we shouldn't sign him immediately. If we can get him less than that, why not? You go for it, because I think without FFP coming up, we could be able to negotiate him down, we wouldn't have to worry about spending as much. But at the same time, is he worth it? I'd say like 60% no, if I had to
Yeah,
choose. It's a
well
close
said.
one.
Look, I think he's an all-around pretty good player, and he's got a good end product. And like you said, he did dominate a couple of games. I think he had a really good performance against Roma at the Olimpico, and obviously there was that game where he played against Frosinone. I think he was quite good. But yeah, all around a good player. But as I said, as Alessandro said, the price tag's just a bit hefty. So
Yeah.
as we've said once or twice before, maybe if we can negotiate it down to maybe like the 22.5 region, that would start to look a lot more presentable. 22.5 to 25, in my
Yeah, it's
opinion.
more enticing.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, let's have a look at some more headlines and have a look at some transfer talk. We got a pretty exciting one this morning that came right out of left field. Diego Forlan has said that Inter Milano will sign Antoine Griezmann from Atletico Madrid if Mauro Icardi is moved on in the summer. Now, I'm going to go straight to Alessandro. What do you think of our former striker Diego Forlan's words? And tell us a little bit about the Uruguayan connection that could be going on here.
Yeah, so after reading the news, I saw that there was a new documentary about Griezmann on Netflix. So I had a little bit of time and I started watching it, and I didn't know that the French player was so attached to the Uruguayan team. So attached that after the game the France won against them, he scored two and he didn't celebrate out of respect for them. So I started thinking he's also a best buddy with Godin, and if Godin hopefully is coming next year, um, uh, it would be great to bring in also Griezmann, and if that means to keep Vecino on the team, I guess I can deal with that too at that point, because it is just one of the top players there right now. Is not at the level of Mbappe just because he's a little bit older and it doesn't have the the strength. Maybe physically is not huge. It's like average, and right now for Serie A, um, unless you're like technically a master, you need a bit physique. But Griezmann is technically a master, so it can be that player that make us become again one of the big team in Europe. He can make the difference.
Oh, yeah, he definitely can. He is a world-class talent, no doubt. The biggest name that we've been linked with for many years now. And, hopefully there's substance to it. But I guess we won't be throwing a welcoming party anytime soon. Mario, your thoughts on Diego Forlan's comments this morning? What are your opinions on Antoine Griezmann?
I like Griezmann. It excites me seeing that we can actually be linked with players like this now. And obviously he would only be considered even if Icardi was to leave, which seems to be the best case scenario at this point. Like Alessandro said before, you have to have some sort of some specialty as a striker in the Serie A. You got Ronaldo, who's an all-around striker, who's just killing it. Icardi's in the box. He's one of the best players, but the way we're playing right now, Griezmann would fit a lot better than Icardi, because even you see with Lautaro, who's working his way up, he's got that flair, he's got that idea of how to keep the ball and go forward, go at defenders, and it's been effective to a point. I'm not going to say it's been perfect or but it's important to see that he's looking for to make that killer ball or take on the defender, which is what we've been missing. And Griezmann does that and is better. because he's been in that position. He's been in the Champions League final. He's been in the World Cup final, which he won, which he was a big part of. So he has the accolades to back him up. And on top of it, you watch him play. He can put the ball where he wants it. He can beat any defender, and he can play the style that Inter plays, where they play the possession, the short passes. Once they go forward, they look for the striker, and he basically can dictate the play and relieve the midfielders of doing all the duties that they've had to do prior to signing Griezmann, let's say, where they're the focal point. They have to play to the wings. They have to spread Icardi the perfect ball inside the 6-yard box with the wind slightly going east but blowing west at the same time, and the defender closing one eye in order for Icardi to get that ball and score. So I see it as a big change of pace, but at the same time, it's not, because we have Lautaro, who's a similar player but not as good.
Yeah,
that makes
fair
sense.
enough. That does make sense.
But if I can add something, in the last, I think, 5 or 6 years, Griezmann was in the Euro Cup final. He was in the World Cup final and won. He was in Champions League finals and Europa League final. They won the Europa League too.
Yeah.
So
he's a proven champion. I think we need more of that.
Yeah, he can score penalty, he can score free kick. He does amazing corner kick, and these are stuff that we don't have.
Yeah, our best player
right now, they are pretty essential for a team to win. If you score 5 to 10 free kick in a season, that can bring in at least 10, 12, 15 points, And we don't have that kind of player.
All we have right now is Brozovic, really. We have no left-footed players to rip a ball. We have Dalbert, who's, plays once every 6 months. But we don't have. We saw when Brozovic was injured, Cedric was taking the corner kicks, and he couldn't put it over the freaking first man in the 18-yard box. It makes a difference. Or he put it to the other freaking corner flag.
Well, just out of curiosity, how much do you think Antoine Griezmann would cost us? It's a big one. It's got to be triple figures.
If you can finagle away, you can maybe get him 90, between 70 and 90.
Maybe we've got a good relationship with Atletico.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I think you could finagle, you could come to some kind of a lowered agreement, or you throw in Icardi as a straight swap, and you lower the price.
We can have a Simeone discount.
Yeah, it's all just working out.
Yeah,
the Atletico connection is real.
That's it. We'll take a package of 3 players. I don't know.
Something like that. What else is going on? We got a little bit of news and a little bit of an update surrounding the whole stadium situation, where basically both Inter and AC Milan are looking to make an announcement on the plans for their stadium, I think by the end of April. The Milanese clubs, they met with the Milan City Council to showcase their plans, and they met with the Milan mayor. I think his name's Sala, is it? Right, Alessandro?
Correct, Sala.
Yeah, good, Sala. Good, I just made sure I get that right. That's all that pretty much I know about the whole stadium situation. So, Alessandro, can you enlighten the listeners a little bit more as to what the end result is, or where we're at the moment?
Sure. So, Inter and Milan at the moment are sharing the San Siro Stadium. It's an old stadium, and it needs a lot of maintenance every year. And they finally decided that that's enough, and they are ready to move to a different stadium. So they decided to build a new one close by San Siro and demolish the Meazza. So everybody sound like happy until Salah and City of Milan said, okay, you can do that, but at the same time, you still need to pay us a fee because you are very important for the City of Milan. So don't think that you cannot give us something in return. And from my point of view, that doesn't make any sense. It's like
Yeah.
not only we have to pay for the stadium, but on top of that, we also have to pay the City of Milan because I have no idea. It doesn't really make any sense. And I mean, I feel sorry because I love San Siro, and if you go there at least one in your life, it's something that you cannot forget. You know, it's magical. So losing that stadium is gonna be hard, but I understand that. I mean, right now, it's the revenue from the stadium are very important for a team, and if you own the stadium like Juventus, that's massive, and it helps. And 2-3 years, all the money you spend on the stadium are coming right back. And the only thing I'm surprised they want to do that with Milan because we're still gonna have the situation where we have to share the same space. And I thought the whole point was to have our own stadium.
Yeah.
But I think it's a problem with the land. And but if there is all this problem at this point, I wouldn't mind just move outside the city and screw the city of Milan at this point. But
Mm,
that's just my thought.
yeah. Mario, what are your thoughts on the current stadium situation?
Uh, I think that I love San Siro as it is. It was an honor to be there twice in my lifetime, but we have to say goodbye to it. Um, we're just holding it on to it for sentimental value at this point. Sure, it's a piece of history. Sure, it's an iconic stadium in Italy, in the world, even. But we have to think progressively at this point. We're not making money off of it. We're paying rent every time we play in there. So if we can't generate our own money, we'll never be able to compete with Juventus for the Scudetto or buy the players we need to make it in Champions League or whatever the case is. Like sure, it's good to.
Yeah, keep going, Mario.
Okay, it's good to have the name in Meazza, San Siro, and all that, but I think this is a positive exit strategy for us and Milan as well, because I think the only way we'll get it is if we share it with them, which I have no opposition to. I think it just adds to the to the history of the clubs in the Serie A. Um, the only problem is you have to pay for the stadium demolition, whatever the case is, to move or the space. Um, and it seems like they're trying to hold us hostage with whatever deal they have going on. That seems pretty shady, but if that's what it takes to get out and make profits off of it, we should we should be taking the direction or whatever possible steps it takes. So this way we can be in a financial state where we're not scrambling for money because FFP is holding us down because we can't generate revenue through tickets and all that. Because it just hurts us in the end more than it does good. And like I said, I love the stadium, but we have to move on from it.
Yeah, fair enough. Well said, man. Well said. Mario, I'm conscious of time for you, my friend. Thank you so much for joining us again on the Inter Worldwide podcast. I'm sure you'll be back again soon. Thanks, bro.
Of course, thank you. I'll see you guys soon.
No worries. But that's all right. We're not going short on numbers because guess who's just joined? Ring, ring, surprise guest, Bruninho. Bruno, what's going on, champ?
How are we all? Just looking forward to the Lazio match, mate.
That's it, man. That's it. Alessandro, Bruno has joined us to talk a little bit more about Lazio, but we're going to start with another transfer rumor. Bruno, I don't know if you saw this one, but me and Alessandro were talking about it earlier. Malcolm is out of favor at Barcelona. I guess that's what you get when you chase the childhood dreams of the boyhood club without the realistic interpretation of how much playing time you're going to get. But the latest headlines is that Barcelona would be willing to loan him out for a season and that Inter would be his preferred destination. Alessandro, we'll keep it with you at this point. What are your current thoughts on Malcolm? Would you take him for a one-year loan next season?
Yeah, I mean, if next season we're still going to play in Champions League or in any other cup anyway, we need numbers, and having a player on loan, Malcolm quality, I don't see why not. I mean, it sounds like a win-win for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. Bruno, have you seen any of Malcolm's games at Barcelona? He scored against us, remember that? And he scored a couple of times, I think, against Espanyol as well. Would you look at taking him next season, man, on a loan?
Look, after the whole drama in the summer transfer window where he basically had pen to paper with Roma, if I'm correct, and just packed up, disappeared. And you know what? Like Alessandro said, they are chasing. He is chasing that boyhood dream, playing in Barcelona. But at the end of the day, a player's allegiance to a club is very important, especially when it comes to, big matches, playing in Champions League. And you've seen that in the past. And I just don't know if he's going to be worth the money. Although it is a loan, I saw that it was a loan with an obligation to buy.
Yeah.
And obviously, Barcelona aren't playing him for a reason. But in saying that, we do have other options and more critical positions that we need to fill. But I don't know. I'm very split down the middle. I feel like Inter's going to be linked to Malcolm every transfer window there is.
Probably he might be like the next Lavezzi. How many years in a row were we linked with him? What, 6,
Exactly.
7 maybe? Pastore as well. Couple of other
quick
things.
questions. Malcolm is being Brazilian, would take a spot in how do you say extra? How do you say like extra comunitario?
Sorry, what was that?
It's like being Brazilian, not European.
Oh, yeah.
Every team has just 2 spots for them.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I
I
wonder
know
if
what you mean.
next year we're gonna have a spot for him, because we already have the Brazilian goalkeeper.
Yeah.
And so I wonder if it's worth it.
That's
I
well
don't
put. I didn't
know.
think about it that way.
Yeah.
All right.
And
Something
if
else
we had
that
to choose between, let me just interject there. If we had to choose
Yeah.
between Malcolm or Rafinha, right, both being Brazilian,
See, there's not just me. It's not just me, Alessandro. It's just people in Australia, man.
I guess so.
I just think he provides that. He's hungry.
He put on a video on Instagram, I think a couple of days ago. He was working out, and of course, everything he
Yeah.
puts on social media just gets flooded with Neratsuros dots and hearts, man. And I think it was Bruno telling me this last time we caught up, man. I'm pretty sure he'll be available for a free transfer.
Yeah, and if it's not free, it'll be very cut price because he hasn't played, and it's a risk. You know what? We should be willing to take. He's performed with us, and he's performed against us.
I don't
But
know, man.
I
Alessandro
doubt
needs a bit more.
I doubt Rafinha is just Brazilian, because it's not part of the family. It's not like Spanish or European in some way.
He
So
is.
I don't think that should be a problem in that sense. And if it comes for free, he's welcome. I mean, I have absolutely nothing against Rafinha. If not, there is half of his career was injured, and that's a pity. But you know,
Not too sure how he's going to recover, but we'll see what happens in the off season there with that. I want to thank Alessandro particularly for his latest edition on the Inter Worldwide website for the Inter clubs, and it was Lebanon. It was a great article, great one to read as well. So if you haven't, head out to Inter Worldwide and check out the article on that. Alessandro, any sneak peek or preview on where the next couple of editions might come from?
I think we're gonna focus back in Europe, one of the capitals, European capitals probably. I don't want to say too much, but yeah, back to the whole continent.
Oh, good. Sounds good. Bruno, let's talk a little bit about a tour that was announced this week, the International Champions Cup. Something that we might need to look into ourselves, mate. Inter will be traveling a fair distance into Singapore to play Manchester United and Juventus in July this year. Bruno, what are your thoughts on the team that Ragazzi making their way over to the Asian continent? And I don't know, man, you want to get a crew together? You want to head over?
Look, firstly, what I'm going to have to do is take some leave off work because it is going to be worth it. But before we get to that, you look at Inter historically in these preseason cups and they perform well and they give me so much false hope. I think at the start of this season, we beat Chelsea. And the season before, we beat Bayern Munich and drew with Chelsea or something like that. And it just gives you so much hope that something good is going to come along. We're going to have an amazing season. But I do feel it's going to be a good test to both Inter and Marotta, because he's going to have a couple of signings under his belt. And who better to play against than the champions of Italy, Juventus, and a mediocre side like Manchester United.
You're too much, man. You're too much. You backed me into a corner there. Alessandro,
hold on. You said the champions of Italy? Like it's something that is already decided?
Oh, come on. I love
10 games, right?
10 games. I love your optimism still, man. But what is it? 10 games and how many points?
I don't know, like
I forgot.
200. I don't know.
Yeah, some bullshit like that. Bruno, while you're here, Lazio, we're all pretty nervous, man, but we don't know what to expect. I guess the general consensus is that we don't know anything about the lineups, and we're probably not going to find out up until, a couple of hours before. But latest news, I'm sure that you saw De Vrij out, Martinez out, Icardi potentially in, Nainggolan in the squad, and Keita Balde definitely fit. So where are you standing, Bruno?
Look, I predicted Inter to win 2-0 in my exclusive set of videos, The Run Home, where we cover everything. Just give myself a bit of a plug there. But I predicted Inter to win 2-0. Now, De Vrij, there's a conspiracy theory out saying there's a clause in his contract saying he could not face Lazio. Now, would not surprise me, but we did it against him. We did it without him first time round. I'm sure we can do it again. Martinez, he is a loss to Inter. He performed really well with Argentina. He performed really well in the lead up to this. So he is a loss to Inter, but I think Balde will fill his shoes very well. I was actually talking with a couple of my enemies there in the Lazio fan club, and they're scared for Icardi. And they said last time, he had apparently he had 100 Argentinians waiting to rip into the curva. And he just went on a goal-scoring blitz. And they're scared that after this drama as of late, he's just going to come back and just show them who he really is and why he is claiming to have what he wants. On Lazio's front, Immobile, he played the first match against, who did Italy play first time around? Finland?
Finland, yeah.
he was very quiet.
He was poor, man. He was invisible the whole game.
He was the worst player on the Italian team in my eyes.
Yeah.
And in the second match, Mancini didn't even go with him. Now, again, my enemies in the Lazio club here, they've turned around and they said Immobile is a player who, if he's in form, he's unstoppable. If he's out of form, he's nobody. And I think that's what's going to be playing into Inter's hands. And you know what? We're returning home. And don't forget, it might have been 2 weeks ago, but we did win the derby. And I think that momentum, as well as playing at home and Nainggolan hopefully on the field, as well as Keisha, hopefully Icardi, you've got Perisic and Brozovic. I just feel our attack's gonna wither the Lazio Storm.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Thank you very much for that optimism, and thank you very much for calling in. On that note, very conscious of time, that's all we've got time for the Inter Worldwide podcast this evening. Alessandro, we'll let you off a little bit early. What is it, like 11:30, midnight over there?
Yeah, 11:30.
All right, all good. Thank you so much for joining us again, my friend. We will speak soon. Forza Inter, Forza Alessandro.
Forza Inter, always a pleasure. Bye, guys.
Ciao. And Bruno, thank you very much for joining me, bro. Go have a beer. It's been a long week, bro. Happy Friday.
Bruno. Happy Friday, mate. And thank you for having me as always.
My pleasure, brother. And as always, from us here at all of us here at Inter Worldwide, Forza Inter per sempre. Ciao.